Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. It's new. We're here again. We're live. New time, new vibe, a new feel, potentially, David, a new audience. And we are trying some new stuff. Very exciting. I do like new. I do like trying stuff. I do like taking reasonable risk. How are you doing this morning, David? How are things?
Wow, great, Nick. I'm here. I'm up nice and early, bright and early. Breakfast is done. Coffee is done. Coffee's sitting next to me here on the desk. Yeah, I'm ready. This is going to be a great show. And most of our listeners and viewers have been watching us at 4 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. But as you said, Nick, something new, something different. We thought we'd liven it up a little bit and we'd do a breakfast show. We thought, well, hey, why not? Let's see if we can reach to those breakfast lovers sitting there munching on their croissants, sipping on their coffee. So, yeah, that's what we're here for. Thursday morning this time rather than Thursday afternoon. If you're tuning in now, good morning and welcome. This is going to be an exciting hour with Nick and myself. We're talking everything business. It's the business chat show where anything can happen. And in the past, fun things have happened and we want it to be fun. We want it to be informative. We want it to be educational. We want you to feel motivated and stimulated after the show today. So you go off to work, maybe from the living room to the kitchen to the lounge or something like that. But you're motivated and ready for a great day ahead. And of course, we want it to be interactive as well. So we're encouraging all our listeners, all our viewers, if you've got anything you want to share with us, use that chat box. Give us a high five. Put in there your comments, your feedback. If you like what we're talking about, great, join in the conversation. If you disagree with us, so be it. Let us know. And we will also share your shout outs as well. If you want to get your business shouted out here live on air across the UK and broadcasting globally, we will give you a big shout out. So, Nick, an exciting week for you. What's it been like in Nick's business world this week?
Well, a good week, mate. It's another one of those odd weeks where everything seems to be kind of a certain amount of normal coming into working from home, the office at home, all of the kind of things that we've got very used to over the last 12 months. I still struggle with it because I thrive in the company of others, right? Hence, the more interactive the show is, the better. The more shout outs, the more kind of comments, the easier it is. Certainly for me, because I'm a kind of people person. So I continually struggle with the working from home aspects of you're on your own. It's a bit like a lot of businesses, right? You're on your own. You're responsible for doing everything. There's certain issues around that which I struggle with, but massive pluses as well. I'll be really interested to hear from the audience. What is it, right? What are the good things and the bad things from, I guess, this more normalized working from home environment? In fact, I had a call with my mobile phone provider this week, and the message, before you get through to anyone, the message states that they've kitted out their people with the gear to work from home. So don't be surprised if you hear extra noises, like kids and pets and stuff like that. So it's becoming more and more normalized that you can work from home. Everything I've done, I've been wearing my slippers. And here I am, we're doing a breakfast show. I'm in my lounge, soon be in the kitchen. Don't forget the breakfast of champions experiment. That's coming, right? All this new stuff is coming. But it's been a good week. And got my sent off for my lateral flow tests. They came brilliant, right? 2 days, it promised. They came in the post. Did my first one yesterday, negative, brilliant. Feeling more confident about going out. And I know we're going to be talking about getting out there.
Just out of interest, Nick, lateral flow test. Have you had a play with it yet? Have you had a prod and a bit of a shove down the back of the throat and stuff like that?
Did my first one yesterday, made me bloody cry, mate. It was right up there. The tears were flowing, all for the right reasons. But yeah, I had tears in my eyes. Not a pleasant experience, but easy to do.
No, it's not. And when you're quite macho, so give you an example of this. A couple of weeks ago, or several weeks ago now, I was traveling back from Spain back to the UK, and we had to go and have our test because you can't travel unless you've got a negative test. So we went along and you go to a clinic and stuff like that. And she said, "Have you ever had one of these before?" Well, I hadn't. At this time, I hadn't had the prodding. And I was like, "No, it looks fine." Anyway, Jo, my wife, went first and sat in the chair, and I was kind of, "Go on, you darling, ladies first. You go first. You go first." And well, I'm saying it's an experience when someone else does it for you as well, because I'm sure they just managed to push it that little bit further. And God, did it make my eyes weep. But good news, it was negative. I come back and isolated for the next 10 days and did our own tests from home, our 2 and 8 tests. And yeah, touch wood, we're clear. But interesting what's happening now, obviously, with COVID being the global pandemic and still ongoing as well, still declared as a pandemic globally. What we're seeing, though, is restrictions are starting to ease. We are starting to see things hopefully steering us in the right direction. But the high street is the interesting one. Lots of us are not only working from home, but we've all started to shop differently. We've had to, because apart from essentials, we've had to kind of balance out our shopping habits. So it's like, well, we can't go to the high street and buy that. So where do I go? We look online. So lots of us turn to unfortunately, in some cases, and fortunately for others, but to the big boys like Amazon. And we've been probably buying more than ever from Amazon, and boxes have been delivered. You only got to look out when the postman comes along the road these days. He never has a bicycle anymore. Do you notice the postman is not on a bike? And there's probably a good reason for that. There's no way he's going to get all the boxes and all the parcels in his little basket at the front or his saddle bags at the back. So what we're seeing now is obviously our shopping habits have changed dramatically over the last 12 months. But now the high street's reopened on Monday this week. What was it like out there? Has anyone been out on the high street? I'd like to know your experiences. Was it mayhem? Was it manic out there? Was you sitting in the pub garden at 7 o'clock in the morning on Monday this week? Was you queuing up outside TK Maxx or Primark waiting for it to open? A bit like this here. This was a picture taken outside TK Maxx early on the morning. People queuing and rushing to get back into into their shopping habits. So what have you been up to? Have you been out there shopping? And if you're a retailer, if you are opening your doors and welcoming your customers back through, what have you had to do to make it COVID safe? What marketing have you done to attract the audience back in? How have you said, we're open, we're back open for business? Nick, have you been out shopping this week?
I have not been out shopping, but excited about this afternoon. A buddy of mine has booked a table down the pub, and this afternoon we'll be down there, right? Wrapped up in our winter coats, no doubt, sitting in the garden, in a pub garden for the first time in a long time. Very excited about that because I like the kind of the pub vibe. Plus it's just so nice to mix with other like-minded people. And I guess I'm looking at that picture, the TK Maxx picture, a lot of youngsters in that picture. I wonder if there's a split between those people that are absolutely gagging to get out there with a bit of retail therapy and those that perhaps are a bit more cautious. So I've not been to the shops, and I've no rush actually to go to the shops, which is a bit of an alarm bell for the high street. And it does make me wonder, right? You stop doing something for about a year. Do you get out of practice? Do you develop new habits? So have the high street got more of a challenge than we think they have to encourage people back in the same sort of numbers that you would expect to see? So I guess tomorrow yesterday or this week's been a bit like, Christ, it's the run up to Christmas. That opportunity to get out there and get back to the shops. But I imagine that there's a lot more, I guess, more challenges to it than that.
I think, I'm going to try and get back out there to the high street. I want to support our local businesses and our local high streets and, make sure we're, I suppose, local business really needs the support of us around them. If we're not going to be using them, then of course they're going to disappear. Now I know, the high street is a change place. it was changing way before the pandemic kicked in. We know it's becoming a very different place to go out. Some of the really cool boutiques and stuff like that are doing extremely well because what they do is quite niche. It's a little bit different, and the way they do it is different. But I think this is the challenge for the high street. The big department stores, we're seeing them disappear. We can go back to the day before pandemic BHS. We can talk back, things like Blockbuster and Woolworths and stuff like that. And of course, we can keep listing and reeling off all these different organisations. But, some of the latest culprits, Debenhams, this is a huge hole in most high streets. If they had a Debenhams store, this hole now has appeared. Those that had BHSs have still got the empty shell and it's not being used. So what's going to happen to our high streets? How are they going to change? How are they going to differ? How are we going to support them? And that's what I really like to try and understand from everybody out there. Are you going to carry on supporting your high streets? And I don't mean just going along for a coffee and a haircut. Talking of haircuts, actually, our guest coming on in a short while is very good at cutting hair, and so if you want a virtual haircut, Nick, he might be able to arrange that for you. But I want to find out what's stopping people going back to the high street. Is it the fear of the pandemic, potentially still the virus being out there, or is it maybe your shopping habits have changed? Is it because it's still too cold out there? -1 this morning where I am, and the frost is on the cars. Is it we've come so in our bubbled world now that the indoor world, i.e. our four walls, the work from home, the shop from home, all of that is in our little bubble. Someone like you, Nick, needs people around you. You thrive on people.
I certainly do, and I think it's one of the big challenges, right? That we've got to be encouraged to get out there and support the high street. Okay, we know it's a good idea. It would be a shame if high streets continue to disappear, but things evolve. So I guess the high street will need to evolve and become more of an experience rather than just a destination to go and pick up product. Because if it's just product you're interested in, online have kind of got that nailed. You can sit on your backside, and next day it's coming through your door. So I think the more of certainly for me, right, the more of an experience it is, the more I guess interesting I would find it. I think it will be a massive challenge if all it is shelves full of stuff, and we're just encouraged to go out and buy more stuff. Okay, because there are other methods of filling our homes with a lot of gear that we don't necessarily need. So massive challenge, and as all things business, right? It evolves, and we either like the way it's evolving or we don't. A bit like the breakfast of champions, right? The breakfast these days. You said you've had your breakfast. The breakfast these days seems to be evolving, and I don't mind change. I'm not frightened of it. I'm interested by it, but I just don't know yet how I feel about certain changes.
Yeah. So now let's talk about breakfast of champions. To me, the breakfast of champions, and of course it's subjective. Everyone will have their favourites, but the breakfast of champions is a good English fry up. Don't get me wrong. I wouldn't have that every day, and it's probably a once a month thing for myself. But a good hearty English breakfast, your sausages, your bacon, your egg, your tomatoes on the side. If you really want to go for it, baked beans, of course, and mushrooms. But if you really want to go for it, a slice of fried bread sitting on the sides, fried toast. Wonderful. Just happens to top off the breakfast of champions. Good mug, a proper builder's mug of tea, not too weak, not too strong. It's got to be just that perfect cuppa, and that's a good start to a day. Let's be honest, it gets you going. But the breakfast of champions is changing, Nick, and we saw this a couple of weeks ago. And I sent you out on a mission, didn't I? I sent you out shopping. We thought it was an April Fool's originally, and that's where it kind of started. We were talking about April Fool's. One of our shows fell on obviously the 1st of April, April Fool's Day, and I found this story and I thought, well, that's great. We did a bit of research, and actually it was no fault. The breakfast of champions is changing now, Nick. As you're moving around your home here, what is the breakfast of champions?
This is brilliant, right? You can you can run a TV show, right? You can broadcast it from home, and you can move around, right? The Breakfast of Champions, as we all know, right? Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. It's now Weetabix with baked beans. All right, and well, I'll tell you what, live, we'll test it, and I'll let you know what it's like. And say hi to Jill the goldfish. 23 years old is old Jill. Still going strong, man. There's a story. There's a story there for Jill. But you chat and entertain our lovely audience, David, while we prep this this ridiculous but potentially great breakfast of champions. I tell you what this is like. There's YouTube videos, right, where people they've written a book and they've got their first box of books, okay, and it's going to be the big reveal, or they've got the latest iPhone, okay, and they're just unwrapping it really slowly. This is going to be the crap version of one of those videos, right? Because it's Weetabix and it's beans, right? We know what they look like. There's no surprise.
Can I just first let's establish why you're unwrapping your Weetabix there. Firstly, a couple of questions. Do you like Weetabix on their own, and do you like baked beans on their own? Because that would be a good start if you like them.
They're all right. I wouldn't say they would be my choice. I don't mind beans on stuff. I don't mind Weetabix, but not really on their own.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. This is going to be.
I'm hoping what I've got going on here is like a beans on toast thing. All right. Here's one. This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous, mate.
Right, so while Nick's making his baked beans on what he hopes to be toast, which is actually and I must say I love baked beans, and I don't mind Weetabix. They probably don't end up in my shopping trolley very often. I'm not quite sure that option, and I'm glad that it's you, Nick, having to do this trial. But I also do know it'll probably come back tenfold on me at some point in the future, as I dared you to do this, to give it a whirl.
Oh yeah, man.
So I'm fearing what I might be leading myself up the garden path for a few today. But anyway, let's get back to a bit of business while Nick is kind of making up his concoction. So we're talking about the High Street. Today's show is about the High Street, getting back and opening up the doors of these retail outlets, but not just any non-essential business has been allowed to open. This Monday, the 12th, the doors open at 7 a.m. and they're allowed to open to 10 p.m. at night. So quite long days now. And I suppose, bringing staff back out of furlough, because some staff would have been furloughed at this particular time, because obviously they weren't open and weren't trading. But he had to bring them back a few days earlier because maybe the stores need a bit of a lick and a polish, a bit of a tidy up and a clean and stuff like that. So we had to get prepared and get ready and get COVID safe and make sure we had the right stickers and the right flow throughout the store, entry, exit, signs for masks, sanitizer stations, the list goes on. I'm no expert or professional in this particular area, and I haven't really been back out on the high street since it's opened. The closest I've got is to do my weekly, I say weekly, I mean, it tends to be more on weekly sometimes, but go out and do your, oh my God.
That's the sound of magic, my friend.
Go out and do your Tesco shopping. So I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys are thinking out there. Have you been back out shopping? Has Primark enticed you to come back through their doors? Because their products are not available online. They don't have an online store. And I know people have been queuing. They were queuing at 4 o'clock in the morning. Have you been down the pub and had a beer? I'm just watching Nick stir up his beans. I'm quite intrigued, Nick. You've gone for hot beans rather than cold, of course. So
definitely hot beans. Definitely hot beans. My next question is: do I eat this stuff with a spoon or a fork? Don't know. Oh, look at that! Look at that! And I tell you what, Stephen. I know you're in the green room there, and I agree with your comment. Espresso, my friend, is the breakfast of real champions. Might need one of those after this.
We'll be bringing out shortly, actually, Stephen, but he is sitting in the green room with his espresso. So well done. He's just done a cheers up. I've got the famous glass of water. Right, Nick, here we go. This is the big test that we've all been waiting for. This is being broadcast globally. This is Nick Luby diving into baked beans on Weetabix.
And we've really bigged it up, right? What is rubbish telly? All right. Yeah, I'm going with a fork. All right. I've seen the posters. I've seen the adverts. Beans, Weetabix.
Well, be honest. That's the thing. It's got nothing to soak into it. There's no milk or anything like that, is there? I mean, I get it, milk and bananas and strawberries, a bit of fruit over it. Yeah, the face is selling it all. Come on, be honest.
Well,
what's it really like?
You can taste the Weetabix and you can taste the beans. They keep giving. There's an afterburn there.
Or there'll be an afterburn later. All that fibre in one bowl. It's gonna be interesting. So, would you recommend? You haven't got to sit there and eat it all, Nick. I can see the bear on your face. Maybe make yourself an espresso coffee. But would you be recommending the Breakfast of Champions?
I think it's got potential. No. I think it's not something I'd rush back to. It's got potential. I think, and a suggestion was made by my lovely stepfather, who's going to try the beans on Weetabix as well. Maybe some butter on the Weetabix, make it a bit more toast-like. So yeah, I think something on your Weetabix before you put the beans on. It's all right though, it's all right.
I'm still gobsmacked you're sitting there eating it, but fair play to you, Nick. Round of applause for getting that underway. Right, while you're finishing your mouthful or mopping up the delicate bits at the bottom of the bowl, don't miss that last bean, by the way. That's sacrilege. I think it's time. We're going to have a quick ad break, and when we come back, we're going to get on the show our next guest, who's been sitting patiently in the green room. Most of you have gone out this week and probably, if you could, that is, had yourself a haircut, gone back to your favorite barber, your favorite salon, and had a trim, got that hair back into some type of order. Well, our guest coming on the show after this ad is going to be telling us about his journey from setting up his very first salon and reopening his doors earlier on this week. Nick, let's do it. Let's bring on to our virtual stage. Are you ready for this? This is the big one. Mr. Stephen Ruddock from Rudd Hair. Good morning, Stephen.
Good morning, all. How are we?
Very well. Yourself? Long time no see. I mean, it's been a good 4 years. I think we've actually had a conversation apart from outside of text messages and WhatsApps and Facebook and stuff like that. How are you, firstly? That's the most important question.
Really good, really good. Feeling really positive to actually be back in the world of the employed again. It's been all a bit strange having a lot of time on my hands. I'm not used to that.
So what have you been doing? Obviously, we'll talk more about your business and how it all started and where you are now. Exciting journey. But what have you been doing over the course of, I say, the last 12 months? Obviously, we've been in lockdown. They're now out of lockdown, back into lockdown. What's kept you busy? I know you've been kind of still doing a lot of marketing promotion for when things do open back up, but what's been keeping you out of trouble?
Yeah, so we expanded into our second site. We bought the salon in December 2019. By the time we actually got around to doing anything, we were closed again. So that was March 23rd, 2020. So the first lockdown, I rolled up my sleeves and I decorated a 200 square metre salon and we refitted the whole thing, me and a builder. So that was lockdown number one. Then obviously we were then open between July the 4th and November the 4th actually. We then shut again. If I'm honest, that one I didn't do a lot. I kind of thought, do you know what? I've worked so hard in the last one, I'm going to chill out a little bit. And then lo and behold, one salon closed on the 17th of December and the other one closed on the 24th. And so, to be honest, I didn't want to waste the time. Well, I mean, realistically, when are you going to be able to, have a good portion of your business's bills paid? And they turn around and say, just don't do anything. So I was actually working with working with a couple of business coaches, looking at how the last 5 years have gone. Almost sort of like creating my ideal salon as a model, like what would it look like, and then looking at the comparisons to what I've got versus what is the ideal, and working out what's worth changing, what's worth keeping. You know, no one wants to be finicky and start changing things that actually, all right, in an ideal world, you'd like it if everyone wore black, but actually you like that everyone, you know, they like that they're creative and wear everything. So, you know, you've got to be very choosy on what you choose to act on. But yeah, theoretically, I pulled the businesses apart, like completely apart, and then put them back together again, which when we were on the way, like the last week before getting back, you know, you think, oh God, like I've been moaning about being off for so long, and now I think I just need one more week. So no, it's been good. It's been good as a sanity project, to be honest.
Yeah. Let's just go back in time. And it's your 5th business anniversary yesterday, I think it was, that you put it out there on social media. So happy business birthday, firstly. You know, fantastic that you've gone 5 years and you've scaled up and you've grown and you've developed and you're moving forwards. But let's go back in time 5 years ago, probably pre 5 years, because obviously you started in 5 years ago. So we met probably 6 years ago when you just started the journey, and you were, how old you have been then as well? 24, 25?
24, yeah.
24 years old.
I got the keys to Salisbury 2 days after my 25th birthday, so I'd have been 24, yeah.
Yeah, so 24 years old, and you've decided, do you know what? I've had enough working for other people, and lots of our listeners and viewers will appreciate where this story is going to go. I've had enough working for someone else, doing all the hard work, you know, bringing the money in through the doors. I can do this for myself, but not only can I do it for myself, I can do it better, and I can make more money, and I can have my own destiny laid out in front of me. I choose what happens. But let's talk through your story. So, firstly, you were working at a other salon. You haven't got to put any names here, but you're working somewhere else. And how did it happen? What made you? Was it an overnight wake up eureka moment, or?
Yeah, do you know what it was? So I used to sort of hairdressers are creatives, obviously. So hairdressers can be quite flighty people at the best of times. You know, it's almost like a magpie syndrome, like, oh, bright, shiny thing, I'll go there. Like, you know, it's very much can be like that. So it's quite hard to keep a hairdresser engaged a lot of the time. And I was that magpie. So every sort of 3-4 years, I've built up my clientele there. And then I feel like a new challenge now. So I'm going to jump ship. And my last governor, actually, who, funny enough, I literally saw her about 2 weeks ago. I got to a point where I was like, do you know what? It's obviously clearly not the person that I'm working for, because I've got so much time for her. Like I said, I still see her now. I still talk to her now. I mean, sometimes I ring her up and I go, how did you do this for 20 years? Like, you know, but yeah, I think that was the biggest thing, is that I had so much energy. I mean, looking back, I wouldn't employ someone like me. I was like, you know, like I was kind of like pushing all the time, like, oh, can we do this? Oh, can we do this? Oh, can we do this? And I think she was just exhausted with me. So I think it just got to a point where it was just that natural progression that I just needed. I had all this energy and I just needed to apply it somewhere, because I think, I think you kind of need to be true to yourself and true to how you are, and you need to feed those ambitions, because otherwise, I think they can just implode in you, really and truthfully. I think you know, you're feeling like a bit of a caged lion, for want of a better term. And, you know, you're either going to fly and be really, really happy with what you're doing, and you're going to, you know, it's just going to fly for you, or you're just going to sit there and just, I don't know, rot almost in that cage, you know. So I think it was just getting to a point where I just had to do it.
Like, I know that it sounds like the entrepreneur's dream, right? And I've been exactly where you are, thinking, you know what, I could do this, I could do it for myself. It turns out it was quite tough to make that jump and make it work, but for all of the right reasons. And I think you need to, absolutely right, be totally authentic, be the best version of you, and full of energy, so you can take those ideas and actually make them fly.
I think
go on.
Go on, mate, sorry. No, that's all right, go on.
Chances are some of those ideas are winners, and some of those ideas turn out to be not as good, right? But that's part of the adventure.
Massively. I think a massive thing that any entrepreneur needs is a little bit of naivety. I mean, like, honestly, like you're saying, like, it's hard work, right? So I started the salon, and I love doing hair. I still do far too much hair for how much stuff I have to do. We've got a little one that's 3 weeks away now, and I'm still trying to look and say, right, how can I look after little one, do my paperwork, and still do loads of hair, and I'm running about and I'm juggling all these things. But I think, my thing is that I love cutting hair. So I was going to open a salon, and then I was going to have loads of other people that like cutting hair. We're all going to like cutting hair together. We're all going to have a really good time, and everyone's going to make some money, and it'd be brilliant. And that was kind of my thought process on it. To a certain extent, I'd never really managed a salon. I'd never really done this. I think it's always easy from the outside in to look and go, oh, well, they're doing really well, so I'm sure I can do that. I think there's a mindset of two people, one of which is now, if someone, I don't know, I'm a massive petrol head. So if someone drives past in a Ferrari, my old attitude would be like, what do they do for a living? Because they clearly don't work any harder than me, because that's impossible. Now I think, do you know what? They must work really hard for that. And I'm so pleased for them. So it's that kind of thing. So I think I was looking from that whole, oh, well, they don't work any harder than me point of view. I'm sure they only work 35, 40 hours a week, So I was a little bit naive to it. So I went into it, had a massive shock. I think 6 weeks after I opened my doors, both my staff walked out because I didn't manage them. Like, at the time, I was like, how could they have done this to me? But you know what? I was like, I don't want to be this boss that actually tells people what to do. I'm like 25 years old. Like, I'm going to be really cool. Everyone's going to love me. Like, I'm not going to tell them what to do. So they literally stood in the corner for 6 weeks and did nothing. And I wondered why they walked out. They were just sitting there like, yeah, it's like I was paying someone just to watch and give me compliments, So there was so much naivety there, so much. I mean, even to a point where I think, expanding into two locations now. So we've got Sawbridge Worth, which is 9 chairs, 3 basins, 778 square feet. Sorry. So 78 square meters. And then we've got Dunmow, that's 18 chairs, 5 basins, 200 square meters. And you kind of look at it and you think, oh, do you know what? It's not going to be as hard as what I think. I've got this model. I'm going to duplicate it. It's going to be fine. And every time there's just this massive element of naivety. But do you know what? I'm so glad it's there, because otherwise I'd never do anything. If you always looked at the negatives of how hard everything's going to be and what happens if this goes wrong and that goes wrong, you would never do anything. So I think sometimes you do have to look at it on that massive positive outlook and just sort of roll with the punches when they happen. My favourite saying is, worrying's like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't solve anything.
Yeah.
Nice.
I like that one. Nick, get that one written down in the book of quotes. That's a great one, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Now, Stephen, over the years, I mean, you've picked on a few things, where, you took on your 2 first members of your staffing team, and then they kind of left, and it's like, well, what are they doing to me? So you probably learned, experienced is probably the better words, lots of ups and downs along the way. Some are, kind of, celebrations. And I know you've been an award winning, I've been following you on social media, watching the journey unravel, and you've been award winning. And some of your team members have been award winning as well for stylists and stuff like that. Because let's just paint the picture very clearly here. You are not and no disrespect to anyone else out there, you set out to be the ultimate salon. I would say you're punching around the kind of, and maybe I'm wrong here, what do I know about hair? But you're kind of punching at that Tony and Guy level. You're pretty turn around and say Tony and Guy are terrible, but your salons are upmarket. They are welcoming, they're warm, they are very professional, very modern. It's not like you're a backstreet barbers, running for a quick haircut, as many through the door as possible. So you are aiming to the top of the game. That would be a fair suggestion. Massively, yeah. And I think you go through varying degrees of different things.
So we started off, and it was sort of like, it was trying to get the structure right of everything, and then sort of like as we've kind of grown, it's where your focus is at that time for different things. So like we sort of like we like to change things really, really often, but that takes a main focus. So I'd probably say in the last 18 months, it's been sort of like, making sure the staff are all right, looked after as we've grown. And now we've grown and we've settled. Now it's like, right, I'm ready for innovation again. Because you can't do too many things at once. Otherwise, you just do, it's just one of them things. Like, you could go out on social media, go, we're going to do this. And everyone goes, that's amazing. And then they go, well, it never happened. So you're better off not saying it rather than doing it. So I think, there's so many things that we've kind of tried to drive and push over the years. That's been really good. But actually, I think now it's getting to a point where, everyone seems to sort of like just catch up on us a little bit. And then we think, right, okay, we've got to come up with the next thing. I don't mind if anyone ever kind of, ends up doing what we've done or anything like that, because I think that's great. It shows that it wasn't a completely rubbish idea. We did there's a new company that's come sort of started getting big during lockdown when everyone's been doing loads of home improvements called Mix Tiles. So I thought, well, we spend loads of time populating our Instagram, and why don't we ever show it off in the salon? Because, not everyone's glued to Instagram. And as much as I'll do a haircut, I think that's amazing. The world's going to love it. And this is going to get 1 million likes because I think it's that fantastic. And he gets about 20. Because ultimately, the average person doesn't always care about a really sharp line. They might not like it. They can't always look at it and go subjectively, that's amazing. They might just think, keep scrolling. But, so some people don't even have us on social media, but actually to have a wall full of work, I thought it's a shame not to share it. So we've got a humongous wall at Dunmow that's, which is our new salon, which I don't know, it's a stairwell and it goes up into the eaves. It's a big old Grade 2 listed building. And so we started scrolling off our Instagram and putting them on Mix Tiles and making this big wall of work. So we're aiming to literally fill the whole wall. So again, it's nice, but all of a sudden, you see that other places start to pick up on that idea and start to drive that, and that's fine. But, just shows you've always got to keep moving. And so that's where I'm at now. I'm now thinking more along the lines of innovation than I probably am. I've spent the last 3 months looking at the business structure and where things have changed, where the weaknesses are, where if I did it all again, what would I change, what we need to change. So now I'm kind of thinking, right, we need to look innovation. We need to get back to those awards. We need to go, because that, you can't turn around and go, I won best haircut in 1985. I wasn't even born then, but do you know what I mean? You can't live off that forever. So, for me now, I think, we really need to start driving this whole, funny enough, one of my stylists that started Silverworth with me, she went off traveling and then she's come back. She now works at our Dunmow store. And we were talking about L'Oreal Colour Trophy. So we used to do that every year. So we used to go to the regional finals every year. We used to get our models walking down. They'd go, Rudd Hare Silverworth, and everyone was screaming, everyone's walking down. It was amazing for the team. It was great for us. And it was just, it's just that little bit of flair, that extra flair. We're doing things that your average person probably wouldn't want or even like. They probably hate it. But for us, it's just that really driving our own ambition and creativity. So, we were kind of reminiscing on a few videos the other night, and I was thinking, do you know what? We need to. I miss being back to that. We haven't done it for sort of 18 months, 2 years now. The last one I did was Goldwell's Colour Zoom, and I came top 10 in the UK, which was amazing. But it's kind of getting the whole team in on it instead of just fueling me. So it's something that we're really sort of looking to drive back towards. Yeah. So it's a really long answer to a really short question, but that's me.
It just reflects your passion, right? The fact that you've not sat back. You've taken, as you said, took the business apart, rebuilt it, analysed. It's not just. Well. It's again.
It hurts as well. It's not nice to look at things that don't work anymore, and it's not nice to make to make some decisions. It'd be so much easier to just let things go, but you can't. Unfortunately, it's not life.
Yeah, you certainly can't. That old business adage: if there is no standing still, right? If you try standing still, you're falling behind of business evolving, the competition, whatever it is, and especially customer facing. Very much customer facing, you're only as good as your last haircut type of business. And I think one of the issues I find, staying motivated. I know a lot of people over the last 12 months, because they've had to take their foot off the gas, have really struggled to get their arse in gear, essentially, get motivated and back on it, right? Reignite that passion. So it sounds like I would totally agree. You've got to get back out there, reignite all of those things that remind you of why you started the business in the first place.
The thing is with what we do is that I would never choose a town that's got no salons in it, because I don't want to be the only hairdresser in Silverdrift, the only hairdresser in Dunmer, the only hairdresser wherever. I want to be the best one in town. And the thing is that if there's other good salons there, I love that. Like, I thrive off that, because that gives me competition. Like, you know, no one wants to race a Ferrari in a Fiesta, don't they? Like, there's no point. So I like the fact that there's other good salons in town, because that really drives me forward. But the thing is that, you know, when you are, you know, Silverdrift were one of like 13 hairdressing or barbering establishments, and it's, you know, you could walk from one side to the other in half hour. Dunmo a bit bigger, but again, you're talking similar numbers. Your clients, everyone loves to sit around the table and go, my barber's the best because of this. My hairdresser's the best because of this. You know, women like to chat about where they go. They don't always go to the same place. So essentially, what you need to do is give them ammo. That's what people want. People want to go, my hairdresser won this award. My hairdresser's done this. This is why he's amazing, because it just makes it easier for them. You know, they want to tell everyone how good you are. They're never going to go, oh, my hairdresser's really amazing because he sweeps the floor incredibly, and my haircuts, you know, most of the time it's level. You know, no one wants that. Everyone wants that, like, nice excuse to really sell you. So I think it's doing your clients justice, I think, is a massive part of this. You know, they want to turn around and go, my hairdresser's won awards, my hairdresser's done this, my hairdresser's done that. They want that. So it's kind of really fueling their passion for you, because ultimately it's a really personal thing. You know, I'm sure most people are on first name terms with their hairdresser, their barber. You know, they know how they like their haircut. You know, hi, David, nice to see you. How's business? Number 2 up the back and sides. Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Take a bit of weight off the top because I know it's really thick. Yeah, spot on. You know, it's nice to have that relationship. So people do see you on a more personal level, and they do want to really drive your business for you. You just need to give them effectively some ammunition to do that.
Yeah, I think that makes massive sense, right? I think if you run that kind of business, and it's a relationship business, so if you develop a relationship with your clients, to a degree, they want to own a piece of it, right? And as a speaker, you know, one of the things I love is, you know, imparting strategies and suggestions with the audience, seeing the light bulbs kind of go off, and then the audience want a piece of that, right? That's why a lot of speakers will write a book. Yeah, you want a piece of Nick? Here, here's a copy of my book, right? Or you want a piece of Stephen, right? Well, check it out, right? Living and breathing. This is what it looks like, and you can see it. And I think that's all part and parcel of how strong is your relationship with your clients. I see a message has come in, David, that the Breakfast of Champions, my friend, is resonating. Look, here we go. My stepdad has tried his beans on Weetabix. He buttered his Weetabix first, bless him. Quite rightly so, Mike. Scrumptious. All right, scrumptious. Biggest fan. Thank you, Mum. Biggest fan watching the show. Great news, huh? Great news.
Fantastic.
We've started building relationships, right? Already. Brilliant.
Absolutely. Now, I'm having a bit of a delay on my connection here, but hopefully you can still all hear me, even though I'll be static as anything. So Stephen, challenges. Last 5 years, obviously, probably the last year has probably been or presented some of the bigger challenges in business, but there'll be a number of startup eager beagers who want to get their businesses off the ground or have literally just started their business. There'll be other businesses watching this who are finding times challenging. Top tips, you know, what have you learned over the last 5 years? And just maybe, you know, pick out one. I mean, and there's going to be hundreds, I'm sure, and I'm putting you really on the spot. But if you could give one piece of advice to anyone starting a business for the first time, what would that be?
Do you know what I'd say? Look after yourself. I mean, like, businesses take a long time to grow up. So obviously going through sort of like, you know, infancy, various bits, and like obviously to the teenage years, to the adult years. So they become more and more sort of self-sufficient without you being there. You know, my 2 salons are open at the moment, and I'm sat here drinking espresso talking to you guys. So, you know, that's a fruit of labour there. But one thing I would say is, yeah, to start off with, I mean, I went for a stage where I was living on like cigarettes, Red Bull, like got a headache, paracetamol, like, and I just worked myself into oblivion. I mean, like the first year that we were in business, we did phenomenally well. Like, if I'm honest, I've never actually done better than that from a financial standpoint, because I didn't have VAT, hadn't hit the threshold yet. I didn't have a lot of staff to deal with. So it was just me, the client, and I did tons of hair. and I just worked myself into oblivion. And do you know what? I felt that a lot. But it was so risky because I'm generally, as my body is quite reliable, it's quite resilient. So I'm quite lucky in that perspective. But the thing is that if I'd have gone off sick, and I did one day, I had to close the whole salon. So the thing is that for people, actually, like, I would have taken a step back and said, do you know what? Exercise, drink lots of water, make sure you eat properly. I was going 24 hours and I was eating maybe like a sandwich if I was lucky. And I did that for like best part of 18 months. And it took a real toll on my body and mentally. I was so broken at times. It wasn't easy. It was really dark. It was really dark times, actually. It's funny, like, me and my wife were talking, and there was a picture of me, I can't remember, in the salon, and it was about the year point, and I was so thin. And do you know what? Actually, we look at it, and my wife said, do you know what? That makes me really sad, because I knew how unhappy you were. Because actually, I'd just become a slave to. I didn't know how to time manage. I'd just become a slave to my business. I wasn't looking after myself. I just felt myself just deteriorating. So I would say, look at it. But the thing is that it's easy to look at it now and say it will all be okay. Even now I'm thinking, oh God, like, we're busy for 4 weeks and then we've got a dead spot for 2. I'm happy to admit that every salon's going to have the same. I could be stressing and worrying, but I'm like, do you know what? It's going to work out. So I wish I'd have had that standpoint. So it's going to work out. Don't work yourself into oblivion. Look after yourself, because ultimately this whole business relies on you right now. In the future, you might be able to disappear off for a week, 2 weeks, however long. I'm taking 6 weeks off when my baby's born, because I don't want to miss that. But I've earned that, and I can now do that. But yeah, to start with, I'd definitely say, massively look after your physical and mental health.
Yeah,
that message is massively resonating with other guests too, and I think we're more aware. Thankfully, we're able to talk about it. It's more prevalent across the media, and a lot of people I've spoken to, that's part of the conversation. How you doing? How you really doing? And I think as business owners, certainly, I totally agree. I was exactly the same. Certainly at the beginning, working ridiculous hours, eating not a lot, and kind of keeping myself going. But the adrenaline was pumping, because you're creating something for yourself, ideally. But you kind of lose yourself in it, and it's a real kind of eye opener when you look back at an old photo and think, really, was that me? Because then you get a sense of what you looked like back then.
You can see in your own eyes how you felt and things like that. It's the good thing is that I'm really pleased with how this whole the whole mental health thing within people has really changed. Like, personally, if I'm honest, like, my salon was actually built on a complete mental health breakdown. I was seeing a counsellor, and actually talking through with a counsellor made me realise how frustrated I was with not being able to do what I wanted to do. So it sounds really silly, but my whole salon's a testament to mental health, and actually what you really need to do. Sometimes you just need to really be confident to be yourself. And that's really what drives it, and I think it's amazing now because I see it as a strength. So I talk to gents, we all know the statistics on men and mental health. So when I'm talking to my gents, like, oh my God, I will quite happily turn around and go, do you know what? I've been so broken. I've literally been so broken. I had like a year of my life where it was like a cloud. Like, that's the only thing I can really remember about that year is I went to work, I come home, and it was cloud. I felt like I was heavy. It was horrible. But now I love that. I wouldn't change that, because I can now turn around to people and say, that was how I felt. I went and spoke to someone. I sorted my head out, and this is where I am now. And I love that. And I think it's so powerful. And I love sharing it now. This is probably the first time I've actually really spoken about it properly, like to anyone, more than one person. But I think it's so important to share things like that and show it as a strength more than the weakness. People feel weak when they feel broken, but actually it's not, because you rebuild stronger.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, thank you for sharing that as well, because not only you just shared it with more than one person, you just shared it globally. And as you know, we're recording this show, and anyone can watch it on catch up. And it is an important thing. Lots of people will hide behind it and not admit, that they, to need to rebuild and need a little bit of help and holding. It's no different to being, an athlete in a business. The people around you are going to have to re-energize at times and rebuild who you are and the way you work. And your mental strength is just as important as your physical strength as well. So thank you very much for sharing that. Now, we're going back. Your doors opened on Monday morning. I know you probably didn't have people queuing because it's all for appointment, but you mentioned your chock-a-block for the next 4 weeks. Is that what it's like? It's literally back-to-back haircuts, colours, perms, whatever it is that you do in a hair salon.
Yeah. So yeah, we're hitting capacity for the next sort of 3.5 to 4 weeks. It's pretty solid at capacity. To be honest, we have to look at the experience. We're sort of quite experience led more than just a functional thing. So we have to look at it and say, right, how are we going to make things comfortable? So we're running 5 chairs out of 9. So we run different shifts. So we haven't had to cut anyone's hours. We can kind of keep everyone in, things like that. So the salon since July has been open from 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday to Friday, till about 9 o'clock at night. So the thing is that actually it's incredibly calm. So we're super busy. It's incredibly calm, really interesting way of working, if I'm honest. We used to have 9 chairs in there that we used. And on a Saturday, it was like bedlam. It's like a slalom trying to get through, and it's a massive buzz. And don't get me wrong, the buzz is great, but it's interesting looking at it now and thinking, how are we gonna go back to normal? And actually, do we go back to normal? Do we learn something from this? So for our business, we are performing the same as what we ever could, if anything, probably a little bit more efficiently in some ways, because of the sort of the social distancing things we have to put in place. So we're super chilled, we're super calm. It's back to back, but we've got 2 stylists in at a time, 4 or 5 clients in at a time. It's actually really nice.
Yeah,
that harks back to the conversation we're having about the retail, the high street becoming more of an experience. That's high up on your agenda. What's the experience like for my clients? And do they want that kind of bedlam Saturday of old, where it's just bundles of people? And I guess right now, no, people don't want that. They want calm, they want measured, they want safe, they want to be looked after. And I think there's massive lessons there. Just like we, right, mentally need to look after ourselves, got to look after our clients accordingly.
Massively. The one thing I've always done, I've worked for a lot of people, and one thing I've learned is not all experiences are good, but all experiences, whether they're good or bad, shouldn't be wasted. So I've worked for people, and I look back now and I think, oh my God, what were they thinking? The way they treat their staff, the way they might run their business, whatever, I look back and think, what are they thinking? But do you know what? There's so many things that I actually come out and I'm like, I'm glad that happened, because I've never run a business like that. So with this whole COVID thing, it's really kind of made you look back, and it's seen your staff members absolutely thrive and realize why you have so much time for them, because they're just amazing. What do you need me to do? Do you need me to do this? But looking at now how we run the salons, with the sort of the shifts and stuff like that, the first day, so Dunmo's much bigger, so we come back and we were doing normal kind of hours. So that runs for in brackets like a normal shop, because we have so many chairs. Whereas Sawbridgeworth, we come back and actually the girls were they did a 6-hour stint and then they went home, and the next girls come in, they did a 6-hour stint. So it's weird. They're working 6 days a week, but 6 hours a day. So it gives them it's really nice through the summer. We originally started that because we didn't know how COVID was working. So we thought, right, what happens if one shift pattern, I've literally, every time I go in the staff room, I'm like, masks. So I'm so strict on it because, one person, everyone has varying degrees of safety and how they follow the rules. So they don't know that one person's really good because they've got a vulnerable mother, and one person, mentally she was struggling, so she needs to go and see a load of her friends. You don't know. Everyone's different. So for us, we kind of had to make sure that if one team got infected, we didn't have to shut the whole salon. So we literally did an 8 till 6, 8 till 2. They went, then the next shift come in and did 2:30 till 9:30. So we did that to kind of make sure we always had a clean team.
Yeah,
I mean, we now know that potentially that might have been overkill, but ultimately, who knew? Like we just didn't understand this to the extent that we do now. You know, I can remember I flew back from on the 23rd of March. 23rd of March? Yeah, 23rd of March when we were in lockdown. I flew back from Thailand on a fully booked flight with no mask on. There was like one person with a mask on, and we were looking at them thinking, they're a bit weird. And now everyone wears masks. So we live and learn, don't we? So, you know, I think there's a lot to learn from this. I think, you know, a lot of it to do with how much we've slowed down.
So finally, Stephen, we're coming to the end of the show. If people, I know you're fully booked and there's probably not a single gap in your diary, but for those listeners that live in the Sawbridgeworth, Dunmow vicinity, that's kind of Essex into Hertfordshire, how can they get in touch with you? How can they reach out to Stephen at Rudd Hair, maybe book an appointment with you, follow you on any social media channels? You can give out an email address, whatever you wish to do here.
So the easiest way, so we've obviously got the usual channels of the Facebook and the Facebook and Instagram. The easiest way to book an appointment is through our app. So on the App Store or in the Android market, you literally type in Rudd Hair, download the app, and you can book the appointment through there. So it's super efficient, really straightforward. It's got all the details on for how to find us. It's got all the numbers if you're not sure what you want to book. So yeah, that is 100% the easiest thing. I think the day one we opened the app, we took 105 bookings through one salon. So it works well. We didn't crash. I was really proud of it.
Excellent. Stephen Ruddock, Rudd Hair, thank you very much for coming on the show today and sharing your journey and returning back to work. I know you're on the high street as such. I know you're not a retail outlet, but you are an important part of that high street now and for the future. Stephen, we'll have to catch up again in the future. Love to, at some point, grab another coffee with you and hear more about the journey to date. So thank you very much, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. Let's go for a quick ad break. We will be finishing and wrapping up the show and talking about Nick's experience of Weetabix and baked beans.
Well, how great, mate. How great is that? Stephen, you are bloody marvellous, mate. What I love about this, right, is we talk about business, we talk about ideas, we talk about entrepreneurship. There's always lots to learn. I'm always learning stuff, always writing stuff down. But just the freedom that people have to share. What a lovely environment and opportunity to share anything that is connected with business. And he makes a really, really valuable point about looking after ourselves. So yeah, brilliant. Loved the interview. Thank you very much, Stephen. Hugely appreciated.
Yeah, no, it's great to see Stephen and have him on the show and talk through, you know, how he started his business and the steps over the last 5 years. And of course, happy birthday for yesterday to the business and all the team there that make it work and make it possible. But Stephen's right, look after yourself. Of course, look after everybody else, but look after number one, not in a selfish way, but if you're not functioning, if you're not able to, then there's a good chance you're not going to look after anybody else anyway. So, Nick, we're coming very close to the end of today's show, the first breakfast show, a huge success. You've had your baked beans with your Weetabix, which you're going to tell me they were lovely, but I could tell on your face there was you won't be doing it again. Then baked beans were going to be going probably into a fried breakfast, and the Weetabix, I think they might end up in the bin. Who knows?
So I think butter on the Weetabix. Treat it more like beans on toast. It's fresh, it's new, it's interesting. I'm not a massive fan, so probably won't rush back. But it's trying, right? And just as Stephen has said, trying new stuff, being courageous to try new stuff. All businesses, full stop, need to be courageous and try new stuff, because standing still is very, as we know, very, very dangerous.
Yeah, absolutely. So finally, Nick, what we're looking for, if you want to come on the show and be a star like Stephen and talk about who you are, what you do, why you do it, what your business does, what business means to you, how you started out, what your plans are going forward. We'd love to hear from you. And you can do that in a number of ways. Firstly, you can go to the website, Uni TV, so it's uni.co.uk/Uni TV. And there's more information about signing up and coming on the show, or drop us an email or pop it in the chat below. Reach out to us. Let us know that you are up for being a superstar like Stephen was this morning. And we'd love to have you on the show in the coming months. We're back next week. We're going to be doing the morning show again next week at 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock in the morning. We're looking, your feedback is all important to us as well. So if there's anything you want to tell us, how we can make the show better, how we can open it up to the masses, please share as well. Please subscribe, click the button, do subscribe to this, do follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, of course. And don't forget to push that button on YouTube if you're watching there. For me, David Bell.
And me, and Nick Luby.
We'll catch you again soon. Stay safe. Goodbye.